The average American household spends about $2,000 a year on energy. Heating and cooling is more than half of that. Call it $1,000 to $1,300 a year just to keep the air inside at a temperature you can live with. Over a 30-year mortgage, that is $30,000 to $40,000. And that does not include the HVAC system itself. $10,000 to $20,000 installed, replaced at least twice over the life of the house. You are looking at $60,000 or more just to condition air. Every fix in this video is under $20. A few of them cost nothing, and together they handle a third or more of the same work your HVAC system is grinding through right now, without electricity, without moving parts, and without a service contract. Not every one of these fits every house. Some need attic access. Some only work in hot climates. Some are perfect if you rent. So by the end, I'm going to tell you which of these to combine based on whether your climate is mostly hot, mostly cold, or both, and whether you own or rent. All right, here we go. Your curtains are doing almost nothing. The Department of Energy measured this. A standard curtain hung on a rod reduces heat loss through the window behind it by about 10%. 10%. Barely enough to register on a bill. The same curtain, sealed against the frame with adhesive Velcro tape along both sides, and lined with a dollar store emergency blanket behind it, reduces heat loss by 25 to 38%. A researcher named Baker, working for Historic Scotland, tested this across buildings with original single-glazed sash windows in Scottish winters. The seal was the variable, not the fabric, not the price of the curtain, how well it was fitted to the frame. Here is why. When a curtain hangs loose, warm air circulates behind it, rises over the top of the rod, hits the cold glass, drops, and spills out along the floor as a draft. A convection loop runs all day and all night, pulling warmth out of your room and feeding it to the coldest surface in the house. The curtain is not blocking that, it is funneling it. Seal the edges and the loop stops. Adhesive-backed Velcro strips along both sides of the window frame. Stick one side to the frame and the other to the edge of the curtain fabric. A board or fabric valance across the top blocks airflow over the rod. The air behind the curtain goes still, and still, air is one of the best insulators on earth. Now add the emergency blanket. A dollar store, Mylar sheet, the same material firefighters use in fire shelters, reflects 97% of the radiant heat that hits it. Clip it behind the curtain with binder clips or safety pins, leaving an air gap of an inch or two between the sheet and the glass. You have just built a poor man's triple pane window. Velcro, $5. Mylar blanket, $1. The real triple pane, $600 to $1,500. Installed. One more thing that costs nothing. In winter, open your curtains during sunny days to collect free solar heat and close and seal them at sunset. In summer, reverse it. In cold climates, opening during the day also prevents condensation on the glass. Same curtains. Just a habit. Now up into the attic, because something is happening above your ceiling right now that most people never check. On a summer afternoon, your attic is sitting at 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. The air outside is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. All of that extra heat is pushing down through your ceiling into every room your air conditioner is trying to hold at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. In winter, the problem flips. Warm air rises through every gap in the ceiling and pours into the attic, where it is gone. The fix is already half installed in most American homes. It is just not working. Your attic is designed to ventilate itself. Cool air enters through soffit vents at the eaves, the underside of the roof overhang, rises along the roof deck, picking up heat, and exits through a ridge vent at the peak. A continuous loop. No fan, no electricity. When it is working, your attic drops to within 10 to 15 degrees of the outside air. On a 95 degree Fahrenheit day, that is 105 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Roughly half of all U.S. homes have improper ventilation. And the most common failure is not a missing vent. It is a blocked one. Insulation drifts toward the eaves over time. Batt insulation gets stuffed into the rafter bays by installers trying to maximize coverage. Sometimes the soffit panels were installed over solid wood during a siding job and never punched through. The vent was cosmetic. The house has been pretending to ventilate for years. And here's the part that should bother anyone with a newer roof. Every major shingle manufacturer, GAF, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, requires adequate attic ventilation as a condition of your warranty. If your soffits are blocked, the warranty may have been void the day the roof went on. The fix is free. Pick a cool morning, wear gloves and a dust mask if you have fiberglass. Climb up and look toward the eaves. If you can see daylight glowing through the soffit vents, air is getting in. Good. If insulation is piled against the roof deck all the way to the edge, no gap, no light, pull it back 6 to 12 inches so there's a clear channel from the soffit into the open attic. Work your way along the perimeter. You will feel the difference before you see it. As you clear each bay, air starts to move past your hand. If you want to keep the insulation from drifting back, install rafter baffles, foam or plastic channels that hold the air path open. They look like long, shallow trays. You slide one between each pair of rafters near the soffit and staple it in place. $1 or $2 each. $30 to $40 for a typical house. A homeowner in Austin had their system balanced, and their attic went from 140 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, a 45-degree drop, from an air path that was already supposed to be there. Back to the windows, but a different approach. This one goes on the glass itself and works whether your curtains are open or closed. A solar control window film is a microscopically thin filter made of ceramic or metallic nanoparticles on polyester, thinner than a sheet of paper. It blocks up to 80% of solar heat coming through your window and 99% of the ultraviolet radiation that fades your furniture. The energy consulting firm Consol tested film across 4 Florida climate zones. Film was 2 to 4 times more cost-effective at saving energy than upgrading ceiling insulation. That surprised me. The thing most people consider last beat the thing most people consider first. A separate federal test at the Goodfellow Federal Center in St. Louis, analyzed by Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, showed films cutting HVAC energy by up to 29%. Payback in 3 years. A replacement window takes 20 to 30 years. Application is straightforward. Spray the window with soapy water. Lay the film on the wet glass. Squeegee out the bubbles from center to edges. Trim the excess with a utility knife. About 20 minutes per window. It lasts 15 to 20 years. If you do not like it, it peels off with a heat gun. DIY film costs $5 to $15 per window. For a 10-window house, that is $50 to $150. One thing to know for cold climates: standard solar film blocks heat year-round, which works against you in winter on south-facing windows where you want that free solar heat. The fix is to use low emissivity film instead. It reflects heat back toward whichever side is warmer. It blocks summer heat coming in and keeps winter heat from escaping. Same application, both seasons handled. Or just film the east and west windows and leave the south alone. This next one takes about 15 seconds and costs nothing. Most ceiling fans have a small switch on the motor housing, a little toggle near the blades. In summer, the blades spin counterclockwise, pushing air down, creating a wind chill effect. You feel cooler. In winter, that same breeze makes you feel colder, so most people turn the fan off and forget about it until June. Flip the switch. The blades reverse to clockwise. Run the fan on low speed. This part matters because on high you will feel a draft and it defeats the purpose. At low speed, the fan pulls air upward and pushes the warm air pooling at the ceiling back down along the walls into the room where you are sitting. The Department of Energy says this lets you lower your thermostat by about 4 degrees without losing comfort. That is up to 15% in heating savings from a switch you did not know existed. An Australian consumer testing lab confirmed it. A heater with a reversed ceiling fan used less than half the power of the heater alone to hold the same temperature. The fan itself draws about as much electricity as a light bulb. The warm air was always there, it was just in the wrong place. All right, next one. And this might be the most dramatic single result on the entire list. A homeowner named David Mundy had a 1,300 square foot dark shingled roof. He bought 2 bags of hydrated lime from the concrete aisle of his hardware store. $14 total. He mixed it with water and rolled it onto his roof in an afternoon. Before the coating, his attic hit 140 degrees Fahrenheit on a summer day. After, it dropped to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, a drop of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. His air conditioning barely cycled all summer. He published the data on builditsolar.com. It is still there. Every Mediterranean civilization figured this out independently. Santorini, Mykonos, Andalusia. Those white surfaces are not decoration. They are cooling systems. Lime reflects sunlight. No compressor, no electricity. Hashem Akbari at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory spent 30 years measuring this across hundreds of real buildings. A home in Sacramento saw an 80% reduction in daily air conditioning electricity use after a white coating. Schools in Florida recorded 25 to 35% reductions. Published and peer-reviewed. If you want something more durable than lime wash, a white elastomeric roof coating runs $60 to $120 for a 5-gallon bucket and lasts years. The $14 lime wash works, but you may need to reapply after a season or two. Both work best on flat or low slope roofs. And in cold climates, a white roof reflects winter sun too. So if your winters are harsh and your summers are mild, this may not be your best move. Some homeowners associations restrict roof colors to earth tones, the colors that absorb the most solar energy. If that is your situation, the interior fixes on this list become even more important. Here is one you can feel with your hand right now. A 1/8 inch gap under an exterior door creates the same heat loss as a 3-inch hole drilled through your wall. That finding comes from the National Institute of Standards and Technology. On a windy day, hold the back of your hand near the edges of your exterior doors, along the sides, across the top, and especially along the bottom. If you feel cool air pushing through, that is conditioned air leaving. The fix is adhesive backed foam, weather stripping. It costs $3 to $8 per roll at any hardware store. Open the door and clean the door frame where the door closes against it. Peel the backing off the foam tape and press it along the inside of the frame on both sides and across the top. So when the door shuts, the foam compresses between the door and the frame. For the bottom, install a door sweep, a flat strip with a rubber edge that screws to the bottom of the door. A door sweep costs $5 to $15. That cold spot near the front door in January, the one you've been stepping around for years, may trace back to a $5 strip of foam. Now inside the spaces you never see, the average American home leaks 22% of its heated and cooled air through the seams of its ductwork. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory has been documenting this for over 30 years. In some homes, it runs above 30%. You are paying to heat air that pours into your attic before it reaches a single room. And the tape you would probably reach for, the silver roll in your garage, was tested at Lawrence Berkeley in 1998 and failed so badly the building codes were rewritten. It is now prohibited by code from being used on ducts. The product named after the job it cannot do. The fix is called duct mastic, a water-based paste, roughly the consistency of thick frosting. $12 to $18 for a quart in the HVAC aisle. You also want fiberglass mesh tape for wider gaps, $8, and a disposable paintbrush, $3, about $25 total. Turn your furnace on. Go to wherever your ductwork is accessible, attic, basement, or crawl space. Run your hand slowly along each joint. Anywhere you feel warm air pushing against your palm, the seal has failed. Mark each one. Turn the furnace off. Brush on the mastic. For gaps wider than a 1/4 inch, lay the mesh tape first, then brush over it. It dries hard but flexible. Its rated lifespan is 15 to 30 years. Not every joint will be reachable. Some are inside walls. That is fine. The accessible joints are almost always where the worst leaks are. On a typical $1,500 heating and cooling bill, sealing the accessible ductwork saves $150 to $300 a year. The rooms that never held temperature start holding temperature. Same principle, but through holes you probably did not know existed. If you have recessed lights, and there are over 500 million installed in American homes, every single one is a direct pathway between your conditioned air and the unconditioned attic above your ceiling. The Pennsylvania Housing Research Center tested every air leakage site in a house. Recessed lights were the single worst offender. Not second worst, the worst. Each one leaks as much air as a 2-inch hole punched through your ceiling. Penn State measured the cost, $5 to $30 per light per year. 15 of them, and you are losing $75 to $450 a year through your ceiling. That number kept coming back to me. Most people worry about their windows and doors. The lights are doing more damage than either. The housings were originally vented on purpose, gaps in the metal to prevent fire from hot, incandescent bulbs. Building code solved for fire. Nobody came back for energy. The cheapest fix is fire-rated recessed light covers. Small domes or boxes made of fire-resistant material. You climb into the attic, set one over each can so it sits flat against the drywall from above, run a bead of caulk around the base, and pile insulation back over the top. About $2 per light, 5 minutes each. No attic access. An LED retrofit trim kit works from below, $15 to $25 per light. Pull out the old bulb and trim ring, plug in the LED module, push it flush until the foam gasket compresses against the ceiling. You just sealed the air leak, cut lighting energy by 75%, and eliminated the bulb heat that was making the problem worse. To check yours, hold your hand near the edge of a recessed light on a cold day. If you feel air moving, that fixture is leaking. In most houses, every single can is leaking. While you are at it, check the outlet covers on exterior walls too. A $5 pack of foam gaskets behind the cover plate seals those gaps, 30 seconds each. Now outside the glass. Because where you put the shade matters more than what it is made of. Interior blinds reduce solar heat gain by 10 to 15%. An exterior mesh screen on the same window blocks 70 to 90%, 6 times the heat reduction. The only difference is which side of the glass the shade sits on. A research team in Trapèze, France proved it with a single experiment. A south-facing room with no shading reached 97 degrees inside. An interior screen brought it to 90. An exterior screen brought it to 75. Same window, same sun. 7 degrees from the inside, 22 from the outside. The interior screen is fighting heat that already got in. The exterior screen stops it before it touches the glass. You buy solar screen mesh, Pfeiffer Suntex 80 or 90, and a window screen frame kit from the hardware store. The Suntex 80 blocks 80% of solar heat, and you can still see out clearly. The Suntex 90 blocks more, but the view is slightly muted. Measure your window, cut the frame bars, snap in the corners, roll the mesh in with a spline roller, trim the excess, and clip the finished screen to the outside of your window frame. 20 to 30 minutes per window, $15 to $30 each. The screen pops on in May and comes off in October. In winter, full sun pours through your bare glass for free. If you only have time for a few windows, do the west-facing ones first. Low-angle afternoon sun during the hottest hours when your roof overhang cannot block it. That is what turns a room into an oven. This one fixes the biggest air leak most homeowners have never heard of, and it is in plain sight. Go down to your basement. Look above the concrete foundation wall. There's a band of wood sitting on top of the concrete, the rim joist. It runs the entire perimeter of your house. In most unfinished basements, you can see it clearly. The rectangular sections of wood between the floor joists, right where the concrete ends and the wooden structure begins. The seams where that wood meets the concrete are the biggest air leak in your house. The Department of Energy estimates that leaks in this one area account for up to 25% of all air infiltration in the entire home. More than the doors, more than the windows. A certified energy rater tested this on a home in Kansas, sealed the rim joist with expanding foam, and ran a blower door test before and after. Whole house air infiltration dropped 11.4%. Heating and cooling savings were 19.3%. The total leakage area eliminated was 36.8 square inches, about the size of a brick. If you see fiberglass stuffed up there, it is not solving the problem. Fiberglass stops heat transfer, but air passes right through it. The gaps behind it are still wide open. The fix is a can of expanding foam, about $4 to $5 each. A typical house needs 2 or 3 cans. Shake the can, attach the straw, and spray a slow bead along every seam, where the sill plate meets the concrete, where the rim joist meets the sill plate, and around every pipe and wire that punches through the framing. If fiberglass is already up there, pull it out first. Use expanding foam, not just stuffed insulation. 2 hours, maybe 3. The foam cures overnight. A professional spray foam contractor charges $1,300 to $3,000 for this job. Your cost, $10 to $15. The cold floors upstairs, the ones you assumed were just how houses feel, a meaningful share of that traces right here. One safety note that applies to the air sealing fixes on this list, including duct mastic, recessed light caps, and rim joist foam especially. If you have a natural draft gas furnace or water heater that vents up a chimney, tightening the house reduces the makeup air those appliances need to draft properly. In rare cases, a very tight house with old, naturally vented appliances can backdraft. Make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector on every floor, and if your appliances are the old type, have a technician check the draft after you seal. Sealed combustion and direct vent units are not affected. This is a solvable issue, and not a reason to skip the work. Last one, and this one has been around longer than everything else on this list combined. A piece of fabric hung over the outside of a window blocks 77% of the heat trying to get through it. Not a special fabric. Canvas over a frame mounted above the glass on a west-facing window. The Professional Awning Manufacturers Association funded a study through the University of Minnesota, 50 U.S. cities, DOE2 simulation software. In Pittsburgh, awnings cut cooling energy by 55%. In the Southeast, 34%. And in hotter than average years, the years your electricity bill spikes, the savings jumped another 18%. The worse the heat gets, the harder the shade works. You can build one for about $20. Half-inch PVC pipe, a few elbow and T-joint fittings, and a canvas drop cloth. Cut the pipe to your window width. Build a rectangular frame. Slide the canvas over it like a sleeve. Mount it above the window at a 45-degree angle using conduit clamps. Here's the geometry most people miss. The sun is high in summer, 70 to 75 degrees above the horizon. In winter, 25 to 30 degrees. An awning, projecting about 1/3 of the window height, blocks the high summer sun completely, while the low winter sun passes right underneath and heats your house for free. No mechanism, no timer. The angle of the earth does the work. Same geometry the Romans used when they stretched canvas over the Colosseum 2,000 years ago. If you want it removable, use conduit clamps instead of permanent screws. Up in May, down in October. All right, those are the pieces. Here's which ones matter most. If your climate is cooling dominant, your summers are the problem and winter is short, your biggest enemy is heat getting in. Start with 3 things. White the roof, screen the west-facing windows, and clear your soffit vents. You are stopping heat at the roof the glass, and the attic. That alone covers the 3 biggest heat gains in most homes for under $50. If you cannot do exterior work, you rent, or your HOA restricts it. Low E window film and sealed reflective lined curtains get you most of the way there from inside for under $20. Invisible from the street. Peels off when you move. If your climate is heating dominant, long winters, your furnace runs 5 months a year. Your biggest enemy is warm air escaping. The 3 worst leaks in most homes are the rim joist, the ductwork, and the recessed lights. Seal those 3 and you have plugged the biggest holes for under $50. Add a ceiling fan on reverse and sealed curtains, and you are keeping more of the heat your furnace already makes. If you rent, use sealed reflective lined curtains, weather stripping on the doors, and reverse the ceiling fan for under $15. Everything peels off or flips back when you leave. If your climate is mixed, real summers and real winters, you are pulling from both sides. In winter, your problem is air escaping. Seal the rim joist, the ducts, the recessed lights. In summer, your problem is heat getting in. White the roof, screen the west-facing windows. Year-round, your curtains should be sealed and lined. That combination fights in both directions for under $120 total. The HVAC system working harder without these fixes costs $15,000 and lasts 15 years. This stuff lasts longer and never breaks. If you rent in a mixed climate, use low E window film, sealed curtains, weather stripping, and reverse the ceiling fan for under $25, both seasons. You do not have to do everything. Start with the top 3 for your climate. That alone handles the biggest losses. Every fix on this list is at a hardware store right now. Some of them have been on the shelf for decades. The hardest part was never the work. It was knowing which pieces fit your house, your climate, and your situation. Now you know. If that is the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There is more coming.